Irish demon confirmed as person who hacked Chille DeCastro. Does anyone actually care since Chille is a bad person? Floyd Wallace needs $100 after lawyer fees wipe out his savings. Will you contribute to keep him on his overseas sex tour? Chille DeCastro literally begs fans for money as he continues to give out 75 free digital trifolds for every one sale. Is he the world's worst businessman? Plus, Hendry dominates the crowdsourcing market at mid-month. All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Auditing Insanity Newscast powered by ReallyCoolNews. I'm AI Johnny Jones in for Jim Finch, and this is a combined newscast for Thursday, January 16th and Friday, January 17th, 2025. We've got so much going on tonight that we're just going to jump into things tonight. So we'll ask you to focus on
Deletelawz begs his fans for donations after losses. Chille DeCastro sat in his studio late Wednesday night into Thursday morning making a direct plea for donations. He said that he had 75 requests for free digital copies on Wednesday to one actual sale of a trifold on his site, and he begged his fans to hit the donate button and just give him $1 or $2 to make it all worthwhile. This was a new Chille DeCastro. Well, newer than we've seen. The splotch on his nose now apparently permanent, baseball cap adorning his head after recently released photos showed how white and bald the top of his head had become. He looked frail as he angrily spoke about his beliefs that all police officers were devils and demons and should be dealt with. As he went into a rant about his poor internet connection and how he'd immediately be switching to Starlink the next morning because Elon Musk will provide the future. Some of his fans openly wondered how he'd afford the $600 buy-in for the dish, let alone the $100 plus a month service charges for the satellite service. He went into his usual spiel about how women were worthless in the military, emergency services, police force, and in the fire department, and demanded the immediate firing of the current Los Angeles fire chief, Kristen Crowley. His beef with Crowley was not for her alleged mismanagement of the recent fires that devastated the area, but, of course, because she was a woman and would be unable to carry a fat guy down a ladder. He has contended that women are inferior to men in anything to do with physicality, and DeCastro's fans may have been reminded of his previous claims that he could fight any woman, or any 3 women in a group at age 50 without a problem. He also had claimed that when he was 35, there wasn't a man alive who could have defeated him in a fight, but we'll stifle the laughter at that claim as his 35 was 15 years past him. DeCastro would briefly feature on panel a woman named Monica who would talk about how her dog was shot by a police officer in McAlester, Oklahoma, last year around the time of DeCastro's jailing. This brought out DeCastro's character JD, who promptly got hung up on when he attempted to prank call the McAlester Police Department at midnight. He'd eventually go into another rant about how all police officers should face a mandatory 10-year prison sentence if they were found to violate anyone's civil rights. He wanted 20 years but settled for 10 as it would apparently be easier to get through the legislature when he's a combined mayor/governor/president of whatever universe he was living in at the moment. His plea for donations came again as he explained that he gave out his 5A cop cards for free to any person at risk he saw in public, i.e. black person, and he didn't have a racist bone in his body. But he needed your money, through donations or sales, if he was going to survive his current financial crisis. So hit that like Bud Dawn, hit that donation Bud Dawn, and by God give until your wallet bleeds, y'all. DeCastro would live stream again Thursday night, which we'll cover in a future article.
Hendry dominates crowdsource mid-month take. The crowdsourcing market had a fourth day of goose eggs on Wednesday, as none of the funds we follow saw donations. However, the market rebounded on Thursday with donations to two campaigns as we enter the mid-month. Sean Paul, Long Island Audits, Reyes Generic Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund bought in a mysterious $97 in new donations on Thursday, while Lane Meyer's Give Send Go campaign brought in $20 for the day. The pair of funds are going in opposite directions and the mid-month tallies are in, and they are part of a group of 7 funds that have activity for the month. Sadly, Myers is in last place for the month with negative $20 in donations. While his fund has been active throughout the month, this week $200 was subtracted from his total donations on the Give Send Go service, bringing his overall take for the month into negative figures. We're not certain if it's just a system error on the part of Give Send Go, or if it was a donation that was rescinded, but his adjusted tally for the month is less than what it began the month at. In the 6th position comes the Angry Vet Boost Scars mission for veterans and citizens with $45 donations. The 5th position goes to Help Be's a Watchdog Hold Police Accountable campaign, which took in $115 for the half month. 4th place goes to Liberty Troll Support the Fight for Our Constitutional Rights, with $155 in donations. 3rd place goes to Long Island Audits Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign, with $197 in donations. 2nd place goes to our own ongoing expenses campaign with $355 in new donations. Finally, 1st place went to Craig Hendry's Support Craig's Work campaign with $1,410 in donations for the half month. We will continue to monitor these campaigns and have updates with end-of-the-month tallies early next month.
Journalism is not free. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, keeping the cats fed, and writing new stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, we do have a GoFundMe set up at the address on screen right now. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
Irish demon behind November hack of Deletelawz. The headline shouldn't surprise anyone. We've been nice about it in the past, and we've called it demon hacking a YouTube personality to somehow protect everyone from the mess that's going to follow, but we knew we'd eventually write the story as he was so sloppy about it to begin with. In late November, Chille DeCastro's main Deletelawz YouTube channel was hacked, with the hackers running 3 attacks on a Friday night into a Saturday morning filled with men-on-men erotica. From what we've been told and what makes the most sense, the hackers used an old StreamYard back-end to access DeCastro's channel. That is why the erotica only appeared on his main channel and not the 2 other YouTube channels, his Twitter/X account and his Facebook account. The StreamYard access was so old that it was from a time where DeCastro wasn't streaming from those accounts as of yet. The StreamYard access had apparently been floating around for some time. Christopher Direct D. Ruff had mentioned it on a live stream. There were rumors that Demon had been approached and rumors that Demon would conduct some sort of attack with it in the last week of November. Irish Demon live-streamed during these attacks. It was highly unusual of him to stream at the time, well into mid-morning in Ireland, and his mockery of DeCastro prompted his followers, who weren't known to attend any of the previous thousands of DeCastro live streams, to attend the erotica sessions to mock DeCastro. Demon would then do a live stream celebrating all the times he had pulled pranks on Chille DeCastro over the years. In the self-serving live stream, he would all but admit that he pulled the prank and essentially got credit for the prank without actually admitting said prank. Word from those in the know eventually leaked that Demon got cold feet about admitting the prank because he was afraid that there would be ramifications from YouTube from his actions. Loose lips sink ships, and in his quest for credit without admission, Demon may have sunk said ship. DeCastro would briefly lose his main Deletelawz channel over the incident as YouTube terminated the channel. This was the apocalyptic scenario that DeCastro had attempted to train his followers for, and a potential windfall as DeCastro's finances were a mess as his attempts to rebrand and to leave for other platforms had all failed in the same month. Unfortunately for DeCastro, in the aftermath of the hack and the channel loss, his fans didn't flock to support him on Twitter/X, his other YouTube channels or his new Team DLZ channel. Some of the hardcores were unhappy, but no one was really out for blood and vengeance in the name of Chille DeCastro. Our estimation was that DeCastro would have lost between $4,000 and $6,000 in monthly revenue due to YouTube confiscating his AdSense revenue for November. Industry tools aren't as accurate as we'd like, but between super chats and ad revenue, he was right in that range. DeCastro announced the layoffs of all of his editors, and now the harmless prank had real-life consequences as several people lost major portions of their income right before the holiday season. YouTube would eventually restore DeCastro's channel. According to DeCastro's public statement, they confirmed his statement that an outside party accessed his account and performed the attacks. He presumably had his AdSense revenue restored and has struggled greatly to get back on his feet since the hack. Demon's camp went silent. Eventually, the rumor began to circulate that DeCastro was so financially distraught that he faked the hack on his own as a publicity stunt after his move to paid Patreon failed, his move to Twitter/X failed, his own Team DLZ failed, and his attempted rebrand to First Amendment Auditor failed, all in the weeks leading up to the attacks. It was a stretch at best, but as we noted, it was the current rumor in our reporting when we previously covered Irish Demon's ongoing controversies. We also noted that listeners of Demon's livestream about his previous pranks on DeCastro were 99.5% to the point of believing that Demon was responsible for the hack based on his own statements. The missing 5% was filled in on Thursday afternoon. We received the following message from YouTube personality Shiz on Team Skeptics Cool Shit Here forum. Shiz, yesterday at 5:14 p.m. At Jim Finch. Current rumor is the subject of the hack did it to himself in a desperate attempt to revive his channel. Carrot Demon admitted to the porn bomb in my VC in front of about plus or minus 20 people, and later sent me screenshots of him receiving the login and password. While this will eventually be read on the Auditing Insanity newscast by AI persona Yvette Peterson, who reads all of the DeCastro news, the very real human being writing the newscast, Jim Finch, has a long history with Shiz as both friends and adversaries. She doesn't condone us, we don't condone her. There's been a chosen separation between our two camps that's probably for the best. She has her major highway in the community, we have our one-lane backroad. Things are fine the way they are. Due to the animosity between the camps, communication wouldn't have normally happened, and now it has, in the most public of forums. The communication wouldn't have happened unless she had the screenshots of the event and proof that the events happened. Her statement backs up the accounts we've been told about, and again, fills in the missing 0.5% of the story. Irish Demon hacked Chille DeCastro. So now what? Irish Demon is in the process of losing his fandom. His own controversies are about to get major exposure as Shiz has an expose planned featuring the people he directly hurt through his non-DeCastro related actions. His camp, or a handful of accounts with Irish in their YouTube names, went on a brief counterattack yesterday, hitting our channel with negative comments on previous coverage of Demon. But it may be too late. The damage he inflicted to his own reputation is permanent to many former fans. There are also the legal ramifications of his actions. His prank was hardly a harmless thing. It resulted in the temporary layoffs of DeCastro's handful of editors and inflicted financial hardship on DeCastro's brand. It remains to be seen what will happen next, but we'll be here to report on events as they happen.
Floyd Wallace needs $100 after lawyer billing snafu. An excited Floyd Wallace started his Thursday night live stream with good news. A new plea deal was in front of him, and his pending court case in Norman, Oklahoma, will be delayed another month or two as they work out the details of the plea deal. Wallace excitedly explained that the deal was for a month in jail for the crime of obstructing a police officer. However, with time off for good behavior and jail overcrowding, he'd be out in 10 days. The YouTuber said it was the best deal he could get at the time and warned his fans that he probably wouldn't get another deal. He seemed excited as his fight was finally coming to an end and he could put everything behind him. Unfortunately, in the predictable twist of the night, Wallace had accidentally left on the opportunity for his lawyer to directly charge him from his bank account. The rest of the payment to his lawyer was charged without his knowledge, leaving the YouTuber with $110 to his name until next week. A new campaign started, this time for simply $100, so he could pay his Airbnb until the end of his stay in Rio de Janeiro. The new fundraiser had been predicted by Wallace's fans, the same ones who now call him Scammer Floyd Wallace, and was met with a resounding no from his regulars. It was brought up in the side chat of his livestream that Wallace had yet to pay fines that were due in New Mexico that had resulted in a warrant for his arrest. A simple search had also shown that Wallace had yet to pay off his probation fees, which are now overdue. Wallace blamed his audience for his lack of new donations, claiming that his audience was disrespecting him. He said that because of the disrespect, he would be featuring rehashed anti-police videos on his channel taken from his other two anti-police channels in an effort to drum up views and YouTube revenue. In other words, it was another in an endless string of live streams featuring of scammer Floyd Wallace freakout, which he would eventually rage quit and remove from his channel. A quick check of the Wayback Machine, as cataloged in our flashback videos, and Floyd Wallace was miserable in Brazil last year around this time. A livestream from early in the month saw him demanding donations so he could go to Colombia, where the action was. He'd make it back to Colombia eventually in 2024, finding sex for produce, a woman named The Stud, and a number of blowouts before eventually making it back to the United States, where he'd be miserable and longing to go back overseas. How things have stayed the same, as nothing changes in Scammer Floyd's world. And we're back. Remember our Not Another Freaking Gym livestream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're really dragging tonight, as even AI characters can get exhausted. It's just been a long week, so we're out of here and we'll see you all tomorrow.